Mitch Marner. So when it comes to the Leafs shaking things up this offseason, the center of those discussions has been Mitch Marner, and understandably so. Now, the no-move clause might provide a pretty sizable roadblock, but even with that, he's the one who's by far garnered the most attention as a possible trade chip to shake up the core four. We'll see what ends up happening with that. That's obviously going to be a big storyline this offseason. Outside of that, though, this is a massive offseason for the Toronto Maple Leafs. There's a lot of stuff in this lineup that needs to be addressed. Also, just a quick sidebar, I'm going to be showing quite a bit of Cap Friendly in this video. I found that site to be such an incredible tool for so long. I love the site, so I'm pretty saddened by the news that the Capitals are taking it away from the public. I think it's a loss for the fan, and I'm going to try to use it as much as possible until it goes dark. Thank God.
Yeah, we might even make a whole video about Cap Friendly. We don't really got any videos that are just addressing like hockey things up front, minus like radio show and the NHL picks of the month, and I want to talk about why we didn't continue that till June. One of the reasons that I thought of is that we had this third round happening, and the Stanley Cup Finals was going to be there, and there wasn't much left to like predict, so we just decided to give up on it. And another thing was, I kind of just forgot to do it. One of the reasons I forgot was because that was the final day of school, and I didn't really want to do anything like, hey, we're going to do this and this. I'm like, I should have done it earlier before. Anyway.
For Puckpedia, Ilya Samsonov is a UFA. His 3.5's coming off the books. TJ Brode is a UFA, so the Leafs have $5 million of cap space there. That's huge. Liljegren is an RFA. The Leafs are projected to have almost $19 million in cap space here. Yes, Matthews and Nylander's new contracts kick in, but still, the Leafs are going to have some dough to work with here. In the NHL, though, extra dough comes with extra decisions. They're going to have two really big ones to make when it comes to Max Domi and Tyler Bertuzzi.
With great players, with being a great player comes great. With being a great hockey player comes great responsibility. Spider-Man time! Da-na-na-na. Wait, that's Ghostbusters. Spider-Man!
Now, it's been reported that the Leafs are interested in bringing both of them back, but Elliot Friedman recently appeared on Leafs Morning Take with Jay Rosehill and Nick Alberga, which, by the way, if you're a Leaf fan, that's a must-watch. Friedman said that Toronto is nervous about the term, and that if they lose some of these players, it's going to be more because of the term than the yearly salary. Brad Treliving also recently told Pierre LeBrun that there's a pie and there's only...
Here's my prediction for the trade. They're going to trade both Domi and Bertuzzi away to another team. I kind of have a different accent. It's not like I say like the teens, like 13, 14, like, yeah. That could just be my voice being wrong. After a while, my voice just gets... You may be like, hey, you're not adding much to the conversation. And, like, I did originally, and then I moved to another topic, so suck it up.
So much to go around. And it's not like the Leafs are going to be the only ones interested in these guys. They're going to get some offers. So while it is possible that both come back to Toronto, with the holes this team needs to fill before the start of next season...
Hey, Johnny Aki, if you want to collab, feel free to call me up or email me or comment on one of my videos.
If they can only keep one, Who should it be? The original plan was for Bertuzzi to play with Matthews and Marner. We did see that, but then it ended up being Bertuzzi, Matthews, and Domi. And look, they're not the same player, they've got their differences, but they're also so similar in so many ways. They're the exact same age. Bertuzzi was born just over a week before Domi. Domi had 47 points this season, Bertuzzi had 43. Bertuzzi had 12 more goals than Domi, but Domi had 16 more assists than Bertuzzi. They also both have some...
I might be biased on this one, but you should trade Domi and Bertuzzi to the Penguins. That'd be great. Just great. Just great. That'd probably not just do the Penguins good, but getting a good player out of that. Yeah, buddy.
Bite to their game. They have that mix of skill and grit. It's kind of a toss-up in a lot of ways. Now, this is a business, so obviously it's going to come down to who else is interested, how much do they want in terms of term and AAV, because at the end of the day, no matter how similar the numbers were, I think that's where they're going to start to differentiate themselves from one another. I don't think they're going to unite and say, yeah, I'll take the exact same deal that the other one gets. We're not talking about the Sedins here. If it were me and I was only taking one of them because I want to use the cap space from the other guy to go get a different type of top six forward, or maybe I want to spend a little bit more on defense or in goal, whatever it is, I would pick Max Domi. Now, you got to be careful with both because there's definitely a scenario here where one or both of them gets overpaid, and in a couple of years, you're looking at Toronto and it's like, what?
Who's the smartest person in the world?
Persons frequently mentioned on the web include Terrence Dow, Christopher Longan, Marilyn Vos-Savant, and others.
How are Domi and Bertuzzi making that much? Like, that's hurting the team. And yes, there is the argument that saying Max Domi's bounced around a lot would be an understatement. And part of the reason why is, on a lot of teams, he'll start out really strong and then kind of fade out or sour as his tenure goes along. I would pick him over Bertuzzi, though, assuming the contract isn't crazy. Like, apparently he wants term. If we're talking 4 times 4, that's easily digestible. Now, if it's 5 or 6 years, or it's anything above $5 million, at that point, I don't think it's reasonable anymore for Toronto. And look, all we've heard from Max Domi since he joined the Leafs is how badly he wanted to be a Leaf. And Friedman has mentioned multiple times now that this is where he wanted to be, and that he really wants to stay. His dad is a Leaf legend, he's got the pictures growing up idolizing Matt Sundin. This should work. If that's the case, he should be signing a reasonable contract with the Leafs. But at the end of the day, this is a business, and I will never be surprised to see a pro athlete take more money and more term somewhere else. It's going to be fascinating to see what Domi does here. So with the contract in mind, I would keep him over Bertuzzi because I think he's a lot more positionally versatile. I think that the fire and the passion burns deeper for Domi, especially wearing that logo, and I wonder about the contract offers. That's what I meant when I said that's where I think they're going to differentiate from one another. They're both going to get offers elsewhere, but despite the age, I could definitely see Bertuzzi getting more money and maybe even more term offered to him somewhere other than Toronto. And if that ends up being the case, I think the last thing the Leafs should do is chase him once he's priced himself out of Toronto. And that's going to be the scary part, because they're going to have the money to pay him. I hope they resist the urge to overdo it, and I think with Domi, it's going to be a lot easier to not overdo it. And they're going to get to keep a guy who apparently desperately wants to wear the logo and can be a very effective offensive player. Man, I wonder what they're going to do here. Is it going to be both? Only one of them? None of them? And how's that going to work with some of the other stuff they have to do in net and on the back end? Leaf fans and hockey fans in general, give me your thoughts in the comments. If you had to pick one of the two, who would it be and why? Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. You're awesome.
I think I've spoke about this before.